I fucking hate doing React content. Why am I doing this? Viewer hours? I need to get my viewer hours up. I feel like chatting. Here, I should probably pull up some chat things. Let's see. No, this is not made for kids. Okay. All right. The fuck is a plus program? God damn. We are live. Evil Dojo 666 on all of the socials. If you don't know how to already get there, then you don't belong here. www.evildojo.com. Hit me the fuck up. Here. My mustache is far superior to the primeagen's. We've been programming an equivalent amount of time. In fact, I'm actually older than the primeagen. The primeagen is something like 8 months younger than me. We were born in the same year, 1986, fucking based. So that's how you know he's good. How he's legit. You know, fuck the fact that he worked at Netflix. You know, fuck the fact that he's a YouTuber with 521,000 subscribers. Fuck all that hot mess. He was born the same year as me, and people born in this generation got to experience something very important. And actually, there's going to be a video I react to that Mutahar did recently, SomeOrdinaryGamers, that kind of upset me with the way that he speaks. Because I'm over here watching a lot of different React content, right? Like, I watch software development content, I watch game development content, I watch gaming content, right? That's the other half of the gaming experience, right? Like, when you're sitting down to play a game, like Super Mario Brothers or whatever the fuck is that you like, you have this coin, you know, when they talk about two sides of the same coin, the coin here being the gaming experience, and on one side of the coin you have the gamer, the one playing the game, right? Then on the other side you have the developer or the developers. I'm using the term loosely because not all games are made by one person, and similarly not all games, actually this is kind of the point with my Mutahar video, or Mutahar stuff that I'm going to talk about later. This is kind of like this assumption that a game has to have so many resources, so many people working on it in order for it to be a game. I don't think that's true. The way that Mutahar talks in one of his videos, he's trying to suggest that the focus is really on like AAA game titles, but he doesn't like specifically clarify or even repeat this fact at all really throughout the video. But you know, the whole video is kind of coming from the context of like GTA 6 and like upcoming games and like existing games that were like really big budget. And I'm thinking, like, when I think of big budget game, I think of the original Final Fantasy VII, right? Like, and sure, every time, you know, and you just like go forward throughout history, you're gonna have new peaks, right? You're gonna have new levels, you know, like $4 million in 1997 for one video game with no voice acting, right? No licensing fees, because really, when you think of like what cost the most for GTA 5, because when GTA 5 came out, that was like, at the time, I think the first billion-dollar video game. But what did they spend most of that money on, right? And I don't mean to go conspiracy theory immediately on you guys, but like, goddamn, if not for the fact that money laundering is a thing, that these giant AAA companies are pissing away money. Like, the value of each dollar, like when you talk about like quality of developers, like if you put two developers together side by side, and you have to ignore for the fact that all human beings who participate in software development or programming come into it at a different stage in life. Not everyone starts off at day zero learning code, right? Like, and let's say person A becomes a programmer or starts learning at age 5, and then person B starts learning at age 8, and person 5 never had access to a computer when they began learning, and they began learning entirely through books, on paper, using physical devices, non-digital means. And person B begins learning on the computer, right? And so you already have like all of these different variables that impact each individual's starting point. I'm making this very detailed for a reason, because it's to illustrate that, and my whole point, and I think a lot of people agree with me, is that there is no too late stage in life to start learning how to write software, or how to write code, or how to make something, whether it's a web application, a game, a command line tool, a virus, malware. Fuck it. Like, let's get fun. Like, why do you do what you do? What is the driving force? And for me, in the beginning, and even still, making video games is a big driving force as to why I still write code. A lot of people make assumptions about how things should be done. What's the best way to be done? I've spent a lot of time researching. I'm still researching what is the best way, but I fucking hate the mouse, dude. And I know that ThePrimeAgen agrees with me on this point, and I'm still trying to find a way to fucking eliminate my mouse usage from my day-to-day. Like, I don't have two working hands that I'm working with. No pun intended. I can only type with one finger on my right hand. My left hand's fine. But having to constantly, and ThePrimeAgen's made this point too, move your hand from one location to another constantly. Like, and even then, I've actually thought about like getting a USB numpad so that I could like set it aside. And I've done enough rambling. I should probably tell people I'm live, right? Like the whole point, well, there's many points I'm trying to make here. The fact that ThePrimeAgen agrees with me on the mouse, the fact that he was born in 1986, the fact that he is a post-senior developer. I've never held a senior developer job title. However, I learned recently, someone that I literally sat next to in high school, literally, actually kind of, had a really good friendship and business relationship with this person, now works as a senior engineer at X/Twitter, whichever you still call it. that's a whole nother discussion, but damn, I don't want to like rabbit hole down every single thought that I have. Maybe I should. This is keeping me talking. I've been talking for like 10 fucking minutes. Maybe I'm just that confident on the mic because I feel that comfortable right now. I can actually speak. Because it's one thing to like raise your voice so that someone else can hear you, because I'm a quiet ass person IRL. That's why I'm like happy that I have a microphone that's like properly tuned now, so I can like just fucking spit game and just keep it real with it. Because like I actually interviewed at Amazon years ago, and I realized recently, and I've said this to multiple people, I say it out loud to make it real because it was real at the time, and I've not blogged or vlogged about it. But you know, first of all, I've got titanium plates on my fucking spine, right? I've got scoliosis that was life-threatening as a child, requiring surgical intervention. And I've interviewed at Amazon twice in person, and I really should have kind of pushed. I'm not a stand-up at the whiteboard type person. I'm a sit-down and pen and paper type person. I've tutored hundreds of students at this point online successfully. Maybe 10 were not happy with my services, but out of 10, hundreds gave me positive reviews. So, and not to mention, you know, there is yet to be a bug that I cannot overcome or have not overcome. With exception to one, which is involving this microphone. This microphone, every so often, if my settings in Alza Mixer are too high up or something, I think like a hardware switch kicks off and causes the microphone to mute. Because every so often I'll hop onto a Google Meet and like just like the microphone just cuts out. The same thing on Jitsi. If y'all have never used or heard of Jitsi, it's really good. I recommend it. The problem with Jitsi is that you really need some serious hardware resources when you host it on a server. Like, apologies for any dogs that you hear. That's just how it is around here. Why am I doing React content? Why am I talking about the primeagen? I admire the primeagen. I like his work. He fucks with some technologies that I haven't touched yet, like TypeScript. Like, for all of the JavaScript recommends that I have on LinkedIn, like, I've done virtually zero TypeScript. And I say virtually as in, I'm aware of what the point of it is, because I've dabbled in Python type hinting, which is optional. But the fact that TypeScript's like a whole system like that, it makes me very curious. But traditionally, I'm not a front-end developer. I don't like fucking with front-end. I just like shitting out some really minimalistic bootstrap type CSS. Like, I used to roll my own CSS, and I don't anymore because I'm fucking lazy. And, you know, there's a level of laziness where you're too lazy to learn something new, and that's like why I don't fuck with React, right? Like, don't do React.js because many reasons, but like the first one, I literally almost threw up at my desk trying to do their Hello World tutorial. I was just like, Jesus Christ. I have to download over 100 megabytes worth of stuff just to get to Hello World? What? I don't jive. That's like the antithesis of everything that I stand for. It's like, those people have these things called smartphones now, right? And you pay like money every month to have like data, and sometimes that data is like, you know, you pay X amount of dollars a month for a guaranteed in bytes of data, but like, you know, for the variables and things considered there, everyone's paying out of pocket for this. And that's no excuse for developers, companies, corporations to literally shovel data down your fucking throat in the form of unnecessary trash computations designed to make the user interface look better. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Jesus Christ. 2024 and this is the state of the internet? No, I'm fucking going off right now. I'm ready. My point being is that, and I'm certain that there's a part of that statement that he jives with because he's a smart man. So, that's why we're reacting to the primetime right now. I've done a previous react or two. This is my first, like, live react attempt. Is anyone even watching right now? Do we have viewers? Or am I just ranting to the void? That's fine. It's going to be all recorded, so I hope it's good for y'all in the future. A gift from the past. Or is it your future? Who knows? Depends on the perspective. And I want to get a perspective here because I used to look at these things called, what do they call it? Fuck. I gotta, like, literally look this up right now. TIOB. The TIOB, like, programming language index. Is every year, the shit changes, right? And, currently, the most popular programming language is Python. C++, and then C. Java, which I took in high school. I took a little C++ in high school. When I moved to Texas, I'd already taken Pascal, right? And I kicked ass at that, but like our IDE was total dog shit trash. It was like it was on an iMac machine, right? But like it was a click and drag interface. The only time that you could actually type things in were when you were filling out like conditionals or loops. But it was just crazy. Like I still figured shit out, but like I was really like thirsting for an ability to just like type code like I used to do with QBasic. And I didn't get that until I moved to Texas when we finally got to take C++ and we used a fucking IDE called Code Warrior. Y'all remember that one? Code Warrior. Check it out. They still make this shit? Oh, fucking crazy. That's awesome. They even have like an embedded shit, man. They've come a long way. Okay. So C++ in high school, right? And then senior year, the advanced placement board in their infinite stupidity changed the language from C++ to Java. And I was so mad because I just wanted to move on to CS2 and actually learn some like real shit that I didn't know yet, because this is kind of the story of how I ended up taking CS1 3 times in high school. Not because I got fails or Fs in anything like that, but because of life circumstance, wrong place, wrong time, I just ended up having to take 3 years of CS1. And it was the advanced placement board's fault that time. So why did I take CS1 a second time? Well, I took Pascal, as I said, and when we moved to Texas, the Texas Board of Education decided that my my A in a class called computer math, that was what they named it back in Virginia. It wasn't computer science, it was computer math. They decided that that was going to transfer as a second year of Algebra 1, which I had already taken 5 years before. So, in other words, I got fucked by the system really bad there. All I wanted to do was advance, and I needed some guidance in this department, but due to the constraints, I could only go so far. And by year 3, I was taking Java, and literally walking circles around the class, like literally standing up after I had finished not only all of my assignments, but the next 2 weeks worth of assignments, to the point where my teacher hadn't even written the assignments yet. And I would say, hey, I'm done. What's next? It's like getting annoyed with this, ultra smart kid just completely dominating their fucking projects. And they say, go around the class and see if anyone needs help. So I did. And I actually began my tutoring experience in high school doing that, because that directly translated to what I did for my university, which that senior engineer at Twitter got me my job at. So, real talk. C++, C, Java, Python. And you know what? I don't know C#. But we used to have a joke back in high school about it. It was Microsoft's Java, right? Java came first. Well, I'm not a .NET developer. I've never really fucked with it. I have tutored at least 1 or 2 students who were attending both Digipin and Full Sail, who were working in C#. I didn't know C#. I still don't. But I was able to help them write successful code that solved their problem and finished their assignments with A's at that. So at a certain level, you no longer have to know the language in order to figure things out, right? I don't want to say it's not that hard, but from my perspective, it's not that fucking hard. But, at any rate, I was just confirming his age here. 37, 1986. Yeah, literally, September's the 9th month. 8 months, 3 days younger than me. Don't use that information. It's for entertainment purposes only. The reason that I look at things like this is I'm always curious as to what I like and where it sits on the chart. Because I used to think that you have to learn the most current technologies. I used to think you have to do... You do have to do a lot of this, but there's a lot of following, dude. There's a lot of trend writing in tech, right? Rust is at 13. That's kind of surprising. I thought it would have been a little bit more high up. I'm surprised that Fortran is 5 spots above Rust. I was going to say, I've actually helped someone with Fortran, and I don't know Fortran. I've never needed to know it, but my perspective is always a need to know basis, right? I pick up the things that my employers have paid me for, to a point where now that I'm working on my own projects, and I get to pick my own technologies, I get to do my own research and exploration, which to a lesser degree, sometimes you can have that flexibility with an employer, but not always. A lot of the entry-level jobs in tech are centered around someone who already has X amount of experience doing Y. And from my perspective, most of my career, I have picked up technologies as they have been required of me, and I haven't always necessarily had X or Y number of years doing whatever. It's been more about having the flexibility to actually learn something new. And I'm pretty good at learning new things. So whenever something's needed of me to learn, I can learn it. But there are going to be certain things that I am not going out of my way to pick up unless you pay me. And there's certain things that even if you paid me, I wouldn't do. So you have all these different classes of activities, right? And out of this, I've really enjoyed C++ and Python the most, and I actually like C as well. And I'm good at Java, but I don't like doing it. And I'm good at JavaScript, but I also don't like doing it. I I have mixed feelings about Go. That's another topic for another day. Visual Basic was like the second language after QBasic. I mean, if you want to count all basics, but like VB 3.0, baby, dude, copy pasting fucking punter programs into new projects and getting that code from like AOL forums in like 1996, dude. That shit was great times as a 10-year-old kid. Fuck. Fortran, I'm just like, I don't have any experience there. I know just a little bit of SQL. I can't say I'm all that great, but I mean, I can create a new table. I can do basic queries. I can insert. I can update. I can delete. Don't ask me to rebase. Don't ask me to fucking do any crazy shit, cascades or fucking crazy shit like that. But I can finagle my way through queries. And I think that's really, unless you're like really in databases all day, like, as a full stack dev, I don't know how expert you can expect someone to be with SQL, unless you actually really need a database person. And at that point, you need a specialist. And I am not a database specialist. And I'm not afraid of saying that. I took compilers instead of databases because I'm a genius. I don't like learning things that get me paid. I like learning things that are interesting and, tickle my language brain. Delphi, Object, Pascal. I'm just like, what? That's crazy. I had no idea that Delphi was even up that high. Delphi's like a dialect of Pascal, so it's tangent to what I learned when I was in the 10th grade. I did a semester on MATLAB. It was kind of interesting. I've played with Rust for like 5 minutes to a point where I decided I hate it. It made me cry. I felt stupid, and I never want to do it again because I feel like I can get away with doing a lot of the things that I'll need to do using C++ and not give myself a pounding headache that makes me want to kill myself. Ruby's pretty cool for the fact that Metasploit was written in it. It's crazy that Scratch is even on the list. I've actually helped a student with Scratch, and I've helped 2 students with Scratch, actually. Scratch is kind of this, like, visual programming language that, like, came off of efforts that, came out of MIT, like Alice and stuff like that, where they're trying to find ways to teach programming to kids in a more visual fashion. It makes sense. It's kind of like shaped like Legos with like text on them, and you just like kind of put stuff together, and you can actually build some rather complicated machinery that way. But I'm actually kind of surprised that PHP appears below it. I'm goodish at PHP. I don't know shit about like current PHP or object-oriented PHP. Swift, is trying to do the same thing that like Rust and Go and other things are trying to do. Take the the problem of memory safety and try to fix that with complicated semantics and syntax, and I'm just like, just learn how to fucking alloc and free. Goddamn, it's not that hard. Like, what's your problem? What do you mean you can't keep track of your pointers? Lord almighty. It's like, don't make things unnecessarily complicated, and they won't be. Assembly language is on the list at all, but I'm just like, why are they not breaking it down into like specific architecture? Maybe they're just like saying all assembly languages. COBOL's on the list at all. That's crazy. There was a big like COBOL flex a few years ago. Banks were coming out and they were like, we need COBOL developers. And it's like, why? It's because all of our shit's antiquated and legacy. Kotlin. Kotlin's like the Android language, right? Like, it used to be Java, but then they swapped over this thing called Kotlin. I don't know shit about it, honestly. I think it's like kind of like Erlang or something, where it's like it's a language that runs in the JVM. Because I know there are languages that have been, like Scala. I think Scala is another one of those. I actually helped a student build a JavaScript interpreter in Scala. It was fucking crazy. For a fucking undergraduate assignment, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what the actual fuck? Alright, so languages aside, I know it was a huge tangent. I trust ThePrimeAgen's opinion on a lot of things. He has not failed me yet in terms of the advice department. Everyone's kind of turned writing NeoVim. I'm on that plane too. I was really happy that I was able to get my left-handed keybinds actually working properly. I still have a lot of work to do in the ergonomics department, but you know, we're doing it day by day. So let's see what primeagen has to say. No rhyme intended.
All right, here we go. Developers want more. The 2024 results from Stack Overflow's annual developer survey. Are you
I don't mean to cover your face. There we go.
ready to see definitely not biased data towards beginner web dev data to tell us what we should expect from the industry? Here we go. This year, technologies such as JavaScript and PostgreSQL remain most popular. Rust and Markdown remain most admired. Developers are most frustrated by technical debt at work. I mean, even the heading just tells me that, oh man, Gen Z's growing up. Oh.
I'm trying to see how he gets Gen Z out of this. I was having this problem when I previewed this earlier. Tech such as JavaScript and Postgres remain popular. Rust and Markdown remain admired. Developers are most frustrated by technical debt at work. Yes. Hard to agree, but I think that's intergenerational. That's not just Gen Z. But they don't see AI as a threat to their jobs. Also true, I don't see AI as a threat to my jobs. And I don't think anyone actually invested in programming should be either. Anyone who actually knows how these, quote, AI work has no reason to be afraid, right? Like, long discussion on that one, but
A Gen Z, I know. Isn't it fun actually getting a real job instead of working on a to-do project? You know what I'm talking about? Isn't it fun to be like, oh shit. It's like what I've done in my personal project, except it's done over the course of years and by 20 people instead of just me. Dang. This turns out real life ain't all that fun. Hold on, just...
This is a long-ass video, so I'm going to actually try to speed it up and see how bad his voice becomes.
1 second. Anyways, all right, and they don't see AI as a threat to their jobs. Good. This is actually really good. I'm actually really happy that this is happening because I ping Discord. Oh, thank you. I almost opened it up to the executive suite. Can't be doing that. All right, here we go. React was a mistake. I almost just pasted in the React was a mistake T. Not the move we are going for. Everyone, https://twitch.tv, ThePrimeAgen. There we go. Almost spelled ThePrimeAgen correct. Let's see, and Twitch is out. Did I do that all correct? I don't know. Let's find out. Let's just send it to everybody and see if I got it correct. Got it correct. I'm the best. I knew I was the best. I knew I was literally the best at this game. And then the second thing I wanted to do, which I've already forgotten what I was going to do. Oh, yeah, here. You know what we need to do? Edit com today. Stack overflow results. 2024 results. Current. And then go, what's the next one? It's GitHub compromised. Compromise. Isn't it compromise? Yeah. GitHub compromise.
these videos, these could be edited better. Um, I watch a lot of Asmon Gold, and his editor is fucking amazing. I think primeagen needs a better editor for his stream content, because stuff like this is just like, I'm trying to speed through it for y'all. I'm not trying to like jump to a point, but I guess I have to because I'm impatient.
Do this. Let's get in on this thing. There we go. All right, Flip, you can start back up here.
There we go.
In May 2024, we opened up the 14th annual Stack Overflow Developer Survey to technologists worldwide. Is that what we call ourselves now? Technologists? Is that what we call ourselves? And the results are in this year's technologies such as JavaScript and PostgreSQL remain the most popular. Rust and Markdown most admired. Developers are most frustrated by technical debt. Did you really just say this thing twice? Why would you make your subheading the literal first line, man? What are you doing? That's supposed to, like, the subheading is supposed to be like some sort of like bring together so I can know what's about to happen, not literally the first one. Technologist, hey, you want a technologist just nuts on your face? What? What am I saying? Themes we see this year's survey results show us that developers are not threatened by AI, and developers are most frustrated by technical debt work. On the topic of AI, 76 respondents share they are using or planning to use AI tools, but only 43% say they trust the accuracy of AI tools. What?
That's probably correct, right? Like, I have not had, well, okay, so in some cases, ChatGPT has actually outperformed Google for me looking up certain things. But for actually writing code, ChatGPT has not been all that great. However, for Copilot, different story. I frequently have been turning off Copilot lately, in order to kind of better keep my chops in certain practice instances. But when I'm actually using it, has acted as a superior form of autocomplete. And I have been very surprised and impressed that I have been able to actually get more written with it than without it. In some cases, you kind of have to trick and finagle it a little bit, but like, if you have the opportunity and you're not like constrained by like the job that you work for, your company or anything, it's a pretty solid idea to just let Copilot look at your shit and just try it out. Not to mention its integration in NeoVim. Very, very nice.
43% trust the accuracy of an AI tool? You got to be fucking kidding me.
So I'm not sure if he thinks it should be higher or lower. I mean, you got to be kidding me. It should be higher. All right, you got to be kidding me. It should be lower. 45% believe AI tools struggle to handle complex tasks. So best case 50-50, right? So maybe he thinks it should be lower.
That's don't do that, man. Oh my.
Don't do that, man. Okay, so he thinks it should be lower. But I mean, that means that like out of 100 people, you would get 43, which is near 50-50. But like, you have to make the assumption that your vote is like a proton, right? And so at the other end of the universe is an antiproton, an antimatter particle that is seeking to destroy you and be your exact mirror, right? And completely annihilate both of you from existence. 43% means that an extra 7% on top of the 50. So we're looking at like 57% don't trust it. So, we have to look at it from that perspective too. So it's more than 50% that don't trust it, which is a good sign. It's a good step in the right direction. But I think the assumption that people are smart enough to distrust these tools is also a false assumption.
My gosh, we're doomed. We are so doomed. Like, that's crazy. Like, what are you doing? 43%. That's way too high.
No, we're not doomed. We are on the right trajectory. It's not a big deal. Calm the fuck down.
If you're new and you trusted the results of AI tools, can I just tell you something? Don't. Stop. Do not do it. Do not do it for the sake of your future, of your personal.
Yeah, okay, so this is a thing about like new developers, right? Well, not necessarily. I don't think anything in the articles actually said anything about this being about new developers. It's about developer survey, which means this is encompassing a range from old to young, right? Like, you know, experienced to new. So if you want to look at it from that perspective, you know, he's making the assumption that they're new, and he's screaming is like, you know, we have to instill in the young not to trust these things, right? And I think there should be a theme that you should not be, first of all, nobody should be relying on these tools, period, end of discussion. But secondly, if you're going to be using the tools at all, it's like, I think you should get a license. You know, I don't think the tools should be just, especially in a workplace situation, like if I ran my own company and I caught a junior developer like using Copilot or like especially using ChatGPT, I'd be like, nope, you're gone. No questions asked. But if you were able to make a good case for using Copilot like the way that I use it, which is not to write the code for me, which you can totally trick it out to do, but like to use it as an autocomplete tool to enhance your ability to actually output and perform. But measuring that, really knowing when someone's being honest about that, is a tricky proposition because it'll be obvious if you're a human and you look at it in the context of the system that you're working in. But just because the code is syntactically correct does not imply that the semantics of the situation are what it should be. And that's the one thing I noticed Copilot struggle with the most. So you have to kind of like give it a little bit of the context in the form of like pre-writing what it's going to fill in. And once you kind of have a template or a pattern, then it kind of knows how to like replicate that. But not something to be relied on for sure. But I think he's just like panic baiting right now though. And it's like part of his modus operandi to get more people watching is to be like, AI is going to destroy us all. No. But dude, just calm the fuck down.
Personal future. I'm not even talking about the developers that are going to come after you, whose lives will be ruined by your dumb decisions. But you yourself in 6 months will regret everything that you've done, okay? You will be filled with regrets. Please just take time. Don't trust it. At least don't trust it. I'm not saying don't use it.
Don't trust it, but don't.
I'm saying don't trust it. Don't be dumb. Remember what AI does. It takes in tokens. It produces what might be the expected like reflection of what has been put in, okay? That does not mean it's accurate. And also remember, you suck at describing things, okay? You suck. It's okay that you suck, but you still suck. You know why? Because English sucks. Even if you got good at it, English sucks.
He's not wrong about that, though. English does suck. But at the same time, like I said earlier, I don't think junior developers have any business in a work environment making use of these tools. And you'll also find that like the experience of writing code yourself, actually solving problems on your own, to be a more enjoyable experience than, you know, like twerking an AI to like do the same thing. They're two very different like activities, and one of them actually exercises your brain far better than the other.
My gosh. 45% believe AI tools struggle to handle complex tasks. Really? Only 45%? What? Hold on, someone is offering me something. All right, hold on, Doris Expert. I love your streaming. In fact, you play well, and I would like to be your fan, and I would like you to share me your streaming schedule so that I know when I'm going to go live. Well, my streaming schedule is every day, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, morning. And whenever I do this, it does not function. It can do function approximation across English language. Like, that's great. All right. Technology, AI, work, and more. There are so...
Sorry, what? baking soda. Oh, fuck. Oh. You know what happens when you put baking soda and vinegar together, right? Yeah, like the science experiment. Just be careful of how much you put in. You, oh, I can plunge it. Okay. Okay. All right, everyone, hold on. I'll be back. What? Oh, I got it.
So many new insights and statistics to dive into in the latest annual developer survey findings from developers worldwide. Typically, I have TJ on whenever I do the Stack Overflow technology updates. I kind of feel bad for not having TJ on. TJ, are you here? I'm afraid. Hold my hand, technology. The non 45% haven't used it for complex tasks. Okay. I typically like TJ to be here. You know what I mean?
Let's glance through this. We could probably end up jumping through. JavaScript, 62%. HTML, CSS, 53%. Python, 51%. Top the list of most used languages for the second year in a row. So, HTML, even though it's hypertext markup language, is not a programming language. But they talk about that's the difference, because Stack Overflow survey is about technologies, and the TIO programming language index is about programming languages. But stepping between the two, it's very important to make that distinction. Python is the most desired language this year. I think we saw on the TIO index, Python is. Pardon. Is the top programming language this year. As of, this month. The language that most developers used and want to use again is Rust for a second year in a row, with an 83% admiration rate. Blech. There's certain aspects I wish were less painful. But to be fair, I have not used it that much. Just enough to know that it has some pain points. This year we added a section of it for embedded technology. Raspberry Pi and Arduino. Naturally, really good go-tos for anyone doing any sort of low-level do-it-yourself kind of setup. Like, I really enjoy the fact that the Pi is a whole-ass computer, and that there's some pretty strong competitors that make even smaller devices that can function as whole-ass desktops. Pretty cool. Cargo is the package manager for Rust, I believe. It's also like the build system, kind of. And having these things available out of the box for a particular programming language like ecosystem is really important. One of the big pain points with C++, for instance, is all of the different build systems that you can use, and having to, just understand that in the end, it's mostly just about like making sure that your program builds as you want it to build on each system that you support. like the difference between just like writing a make file versus, you know, CMake versus automake, etc. Skipping ahead, embedded technologies. Is cargo an embedded technology? Is MSVC embedded? Is QMake embedded? CMake's not embedded, so I guess they're just like people doing embedded who use these technologies. Okay. So it's really not embedded technologies. It's the technologies that embedded developers are using. See, it's little things like that that are like require clarification or better phrasing in order to make the point more clear right away. Integrated developer environments, Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio. If there were an opportunity to switch things up, developers might opt for NeoVim, which is highly admired. I use NeoVim. Visual Studio Code users are in fact only interested in trying NeoVim or Vim next year. Interesting. I like NeoVim a lot. I like Vim in general. It's so fast. It's so much nicer. Even with now, even if you took all the plugins and shit that NeoVim offers away, like, even if you're like Raw Dog Vim, like Raw Dog Vim is just the best. It's so nice. Vim, the high availability IDE, exactly. The consensus amongst many Vim Emacs users, create a picture many tech users from a certain generation would be familiar with.
Generation at 37. I didn't realize that that's what they meant by certain generations, which is was not even born when Vi was created. Get wrecked, boomer.
Yeah, certain generation. That's what I like to say is like, Vim is much older than I am. So
where developers are going and where they have been. Software development is a practice of perpetual learning. Yeah, that's good. Good take right there. And it makes sense that we see this from the survey results, but learning doesn't just happen in the classrooms. Who's even in these classrooms? Developers this year reaffirmed that what they have indicated for many years now. 82% learning to code use online resources compared to 49% who are learning to code in school. Yeah, I mean,
this is for obvious reasons. I mean, there's always been a slow shift to online learning even before the pandemic. Any opportunities that I had, even in 2004 to 2008 when I was in school, to do anything in my classes online, I did. We didn't have video streaming back then, but it was more like all of the lecture slides were available on the teachers' websites. All of the homework assignments are available. If you, for some reason, weren't able to get to class, the slides are available there. The class is more about like a place where you can show up and talk and ask questions if you had them. Because by the time you show up to the class, it was expected that you read the chapter, covered the slides, and have at least started on the homework assignment. Because you only had I say only 2 weeks. 2 weeks is a long time. A lot of non-computer science classes are like super, how do you say, anti, that notification threw me off. What the fuck was they even talking about? Oh yeah, a lot of non-computer science classes are like, the homework assignment is due the next class, or the homework is assigned and it's due like a week from now, but you almost never have 2 weeks or for something unless it's like a mini project, and every homework assignment in CS was a mini project. And that's because everyone has different types of lives that they're living. Not everyone was only going to school. Some people had jobs, some people had families, and not everyone's going to have the same time to get at the computer and actually do stuff, but you're expected to find that time somehow. And that was what was kind of nice, was that you could do it on your own time. That's really where I first learned the true meaning of working asynchronously.
That makes sense. In school you have you kind of have a much more kind of defined path. You obviously are handed books. You're told to learn these specific things. I mean, it makes sense. According to this year's survey, 11% of respondents this year indicated that they are learning to code or identify as a student. 17.3%. This is just a strange. I'm learning to code. I self-identify as a student. 17.3% of respondents are going to school.
But if you are learning to code, then you are a student. You don't have to be in a class to be a student. You don't have to have a teacher to be a student. We're all students in this walk of life.
At least part-time, regardless of learning to code or having developer role outside of studies. Developers are going to traditional schools to learn more than coding, with 83% report having some level of post-secondary education more than having indicated they learned to code in school. The range of skills that developers mass over their careers is impressive, and it all centers around applying skills to solve problems and evolve workplaces. Okay. So people like school. Okay, let's see what they have to say here. Technical documentation, Stack Overflow's number 2. That's right.
Yeah, well, Stack Overflow is a fantastic piece of software itself, not to mention incredibly enriched at this point with answers to questions people have, but at the same time, a great place to ask questions. A great place for people who have real issues that they're trying to solve that may or may not have strong technical documentation for, and may or may not be so old or so new as to have some other forum where the question's already been asked. It's a great centralized venue. Very interesting how the rewards and points and ranking system work. I've actually got a couple gold questions and stuff that I've asked. I've got a few points on that site, but it's also amazing how much people can get for their contributions, especially if they're experienced and have some sort of clout prior to. What else they got on here? They got blogs, they got how-to videos. These are online resources to learn how to code. Coding sessions, online challenges, written e-courses, social media, games that teach programming, auditory material, certification videos, coding sessions. Would coding sessions count tutoring? Because that's what I did. I mean, that's what people did with me. I had a lot of students who came to me for programming sessions, and they should really make that distinction, because coding sessions can be a number of different things, right? That can be a solo just working on their own. That could be one or more, two or more people working together. It could be a lot of different things. Coding session.
I learned to code, baby. Stack Overflow. That's how I learned to code. Written tutorials, blogs, how-to videos, video-based e-courses, online books, social media, AI, written-based e-courses, interactive tutorials, online challenges, coding sessions, certification videos, auditory material. Really? I could not imagine trying to learn how to code from audio material. If opening parenthesis is _ duck, closing parentheses, opening swirly brace, new line, tab, tab, tab.
That's kind of what I did, though. Like, I wouldn't say it's auditory material, but like, oftentimes I turned my camera off because it didn't fucking matter, and it still doesn't. What someone looks like, they can still help you, right? I don't want to call that auditory material, but in a way it was, partially, but strictly auditory material. That's very weird. If you're blind, though, I mean, it's kind of like you don't really have much choice. So we don't want to discriminate against blind people, do we?
I know it's just podcast, okay? It's just funnier to think of it as the worst possible one, okay? Screen readers. Come on. I know what they're trying to say, but it's much more funny Stephen Hawking voice. Let's go, Stephen Hawking's voice. Well, it has been hypothesized that AI could affect developers' roles. So the trends we see this year's survey remains consistent over previous years. Most developers that responded to the developer survey are still full stack, 31%, or backend engineer, 17%. The top 2 roles for developers for 6 years running. Okay, wow. Interesting. Full stack or backend being the top 2 roles? I just, like, based on Twitter, I would assume it's like front end is the top role. Right?
Based off of my LinkedIn, like, inbox, I would also think that front end was the top role, because I used to get hit up in the beginning of my career for non-stop front end positions, and it's like, maybe it makes sense that if there's that many or that much desire for front end, that there's not that many actually employed front end people, because they all know how bad it is.
Ah, okay. Front end where, bro? Yeah, I run NPM. I am full stack. I use Next.js, and I make a file called endpoint, and in my endpoint, I call it a database. I am full stack. Anyways, the challenges and frustrations and what gets you through. Learning is great, but earning is better. Hell yeah, brother. You day. Drop the L, all right? Drop the L, all is good. Challenges in the world economy have been tough on many professions, including developers. Most developers that are not in a people manager position are reporting annual salary decreases of at least 10K annual USD. Wow, that's a big decline. Any guesses as to why that has been declining? Do you think it has anything to do with remote work? Because I know a lot of companies did remote work, but they also did like salary adjustment remote work, market saturation, less demand, remote salaries. I feel like remote. I did see a lot of. I took a 5% cut moving to South Dakota from Netflix. So when I was at Netflix, they took away my salaries. Worth hashtag yeah. Worth. I also paid 10% less in taxes because I didn't pay California crazy state taxes, which is like 10% or some nonsense. And the best part about it is that I didn't pay those state taxes. A lot of moving out of California. That's why I'm curious. But I didn't pay those taxes because what they were going to do with those taxes was going to take all of it and then not do anything with it at all, except for somehow it all ends up in the pockets of construction company owners. We gotta go put in a road. We gotta go put in a speed bump. That's gonna be $300,000 for that speed bump. That speed bump's gonna be a lot of money. Okay, it's good.
Did I just hear him say that he didn't pay taxes? Or like he somehow skirted paying California taxes when he moved?
Take a lot of money. Somehow Nancy Pelosi's definitely not her construction company. That's the name of it. Somehow got $285,000 and then $15,000 were distributed to the materials, the actual workers, and all that. That's what actually happens in California. If you're wondering what happens, Nancy Pelosi made $100,000 a year and somehow is worth millions upon millions of dollars. Okay.
One of my favorite Twitters, Nancy Pelosi stock tracker. Do I got Twitter up? I need to pull that up. Yeah. I love talking about this. It's one of my favorite Twitters. 2 hours ago. Actually, this is a really big talking point right now. The Google autocomplete is actually censoring attempts for you to search for Trump assassination attempt. And actually they're doing a different search than I did. So like I've got a couple of replies and in the last couple days, so like right here, and I tried it with Musk's search and it doesn't work. But he's doing it this way, I think, for a reason, and this is where the conspiracy angle comes in, right? He doesn't want to directly talk about it, perhaps. But Maddox comes in, and I generally respect Maddox. And he searches to disprove Elon, but both of these are not the talking point, right? The talking point is more about the censorship of Trump assassination attempt. If you type Trump ass into Google search, like right now, even now, it's not auto-completing assassination attempt. If we do assassa, it ain't doing shit. So Trump shot is one that I previously searched, and I think I can delete that. And if I were to like do Trump S now, Trump shot doesn't even appear in the list. Wow. Don't cancel me, Google. Jesus Christ. But fuck, like, as someone who's an advocate of open and free speech and anti-censorship, and it makes me wonder why y'all are doing this. So back to Nancy, right? Pelosi owns millions of Google stock. Something to keep an eye on, investigation-wise. Election interference? Can't go that far, but wouldn't be surprised if state AGs look more into this. Not weird, it's on purpose. I tried doing the same. The lies are so blatant now that everyone can see them. Until further notice, we should treat nothing as coincidence. Nothing. Can a million Google shares have such an impact? Obviously, these two things are not related. You say obviously. It's not like someone's saying, oh, hey, we need to ban search results so that the Democratic Party looks better or anything like that. It's that her profiting off of these decisions is a convenient side effect, and that people at the top might be aware of the shift in direction that tech stocks and other stocks might make when certain decisions like this are made, and how they might impact things going forward. But they also think, well, you know, if someone wants to look this up, we need to make it a little bit more difficult. We're not going to prevent them from doing it, because that would be wrong. But they didn't think that people would question or notice this, which is interesting. When prior to the advent of ChatGPT, and even still now, Google search is one of the most used websites on the internet. Can't be argued. I'm not going to look at my responses right now. Many conspiracy theorists think that the assassin attempt was fake. It may or may not have been. I don't think it was fake in that sense, in that, like, you know, some people say, oh, he wasn't even hit by a bullet, or, oh, hey, he paid someone to do that. Well, you know, that dude actually got killed. So that is a thing. Would you offload Google stock because of his behavior of theirs, or would you pile on? Probably because we all know it was staged and fake. Not surprising, Google went woke years ago. Not weird, it's called election interference. Well, according to that new bill, her and Paul won't own any more stocks in 2028. That will teach her. So someone says, what would be the purpose, though? Nope. Bot responses. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of Nancy Pelosi Stock Tracker, right? Fantastic, fantastic posts. 3 days ago, another notable trade we're keeping an eye on. Buddy Carter just disclosed selling $1 million of Bank America. Or Bank Ameris. A couple things to note. This is the first time he's sold Ameris. It's headquartered in his home state of Georgia. $1 million in a small cell. Smart research, and he doesn't sit on any committees. So no clear reason why he's selling. So they do investigate other people besides Nancy Pelosi. But still fantastic Twitter.
I definitely believe you on that one. This includes blockchain developers, Blockchain, who reported a median annual salary over 6 figures in 2023 and now report $86K USD annually. Oh, yeah. There's also just changing markets. Blockchain. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi happens to be double the Warren Buffering. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So if you had a bunch of people in blockchain, naturally, since blockchain is no longer worth it as nearly as much, you're going to be getting like a whole situation there. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Pivotal roles such as site reliability engineers reported a decrease of 15K annually, and backend developers reported a 9K USD annual decrease. Wow, I'm surprised by that. People managers and those supporting the coding environment are not immune to this trend. While developer experience and developer advocate professionals reported an increase in salary. Really? Developer experience, developer advocate roles? Okay, I'm going to say something that's going to hurt some people's feelings, okay? But I'm just going to say it. I think a lot of developer advocate roles are just snake oil. I agree already. I didn't even say it. I didn't even have it said. You already agreed with it. I'm just saying it feels like snake oil. What the hell is a developer advocate role? As far as I can tell, they tweet and they respond on GitHub issues and they make tutorials. Right? You are a hater. Haven't heard what he said. Yeah. You know, I don't want to call anybody out, but they do exist, right? There's people. So a mod, well, effectively, yeah, it's like a mod for a company. They are hired to be on Twitter and to go on the GitHub developers, right?
I would think that a developer advocate functions kind of like a guidance counselor, right? Like, you also had like degree counselors in college, like people who like help you decide what classes that you need to take. I don't see why we couldn't see a developer advocate like a mentor role. Someone who helps guide someone in terms of what technologies they should be learning, what roles they should be applying for, helping them find where their best fit is, because it's a very difficult thing.
Developer advocates are people who replace the oil in your windshield wipers. You gotta have oil in your windshield wipers, okay? It's very important. It's only a $30 oil change, okay? Senior executives and engineering managers are reporting a decrease in salary this year. Salary decreases are not an effect of changes in employment status. 80 to 81% of developers consistently report full-time employment over the last 3 years. Okay, so they're just glorified content creators. Yeah, they're like content creators that are hired by a company. So you get literally the product from that. People just like to say is that's why we need some. They're going from 2.5x median.
The salary woes are frustrating, but developers persevere. First time this year, we asked if developers felt AI was a threat to their jobs, and 70% of professionals agreed it was not. Developers learning to code were more unsure about AI as a threat compared to more seasoned coders. 27% of learners were unsure compared to 8% of professionals. It's not for lack of trying. 62% professional developers are using AI tools this year compared to 44% last year. 76% of all respondents are currently using or planning to use AI tools. 72% of all respondents feel positive about using AI tools at work. The promise of Gen AI was its ability to deliver quick solutions and speed up time-consuming processes. However, 31% of developers remain skeptical, 23% somewhat distrust, 8% highly distrust. That these tools offer accurate solutions, 45% believe AI tools are very bad at handling complex tasks. AI is largely non-threatening because it has not replaced the human in the loop. Amen to that. That loop will get tightened for sure, but I don't believe that there will be a point where you'll truly be able to eliminate humans from that equation. I think in a couple minutes I'm going to take a break to go check on that clog and try to get it all cleaned up so that I can also take my grandma's dog out to pee-pee. I don't know how much more speaking stamina I've got in me, Jesus. Mad cred to these streamers. Fuck, I gotta drink more liquid. That's not coffee. Skipping ahead, common frustrations, technical debt, tech stack complexity, reliability of tools, tracking my work, patching, updating core components, number of software tools in use, showing my contributions, maintaining security of code, maintaining security of system, and none of those. The bright side of the challenging work environment developers face is that 68% of professionals report being happy or complacent at work. For people, managers, it's 74%. All developers find the most satisfaction in improving code and database quality in their roles, and happy developers find higher levels of satisfaction than most in driving strategy at work. There's work to be done, and most developers are making it through the pile of technical debt one day at a time just fine. That's how I feel working on things. I love improving code. Writing code's one thing. Improving it's another. Popular technologies: JavaScript, HTML, SQL, TypeScript, Bash, Java, C#, C++, C, PHP, PowerShell, Go, Rust, Kotlin. Lua shows up in the list. A lot of these are very similar to the things that we saw in the TIOB list. He stays on this list for a while. Methodology. Here's some visuals. They took a survey from 65,437 programmers from 185 countries. 62.3% have used JavaScript in the past year. 48,000 respondents shared salary information. Top 10 countries, learning to code, educational attainment, technical documentation, preferences to learn how to code, databases. 76.3% have a Stack Overflow account. USA, Germany, India, UK, Ukraine, Canada, France, Poland, Netherlands, and Brazil. Pretty good. Stays on this thing for a while. So I'm glad that I'm skipping forward. This is actually a smart strategy. Oh, they got pay rates. Nice. Top paying technologies. Erlang pays the most? Shit. Closure? Nim? Really? The fuck is Groovy? F sharp's on the list, goddamn. MicroPython? Wow.
No, knows the answer. Yes. Groovy's awful. It says median. Median. Yes. Okay, median. Go's looking good. Hey, Go's edging out Rust. Zig is edging out all sorts. Oh, TypeScript. Look at TypeScript. Oh, TypeScript. I'm sorry. JavaScript even lower. Oh, I'm so sorry. TypeScript. It's JavaScript. Haskell mentioned. Where's Haskell? Dude, even Haskell's beating out TypeScript and JavaScript. Ate up government jobs, people. The proof that if there's ever been more proof in life than why the government is so screwed up, this is it. And the reason why
That's funny because the brother of the CEO of the first corporation that I ever worked for actually wrote the second Ada compiler for the Department of Defense. It's funny that he says this because I know exactly what he's talking about.
I say that is because the government can spend the most amount of money to do anything, and they pay the least amount of money for you to do the thing. This right here is the perfect picture of corruption. It's the perfect picture. Lowest paid language, highest cost to get it to go. Absolutely facts and real. I work for the government. I can't contest. Wait, I thought PHP. Whoa! I thought PHP was a Lambo language. Hey, I thought PHP was a Lambo language. What's going on here? What's going on? What about PHP? Or what about Python? Pi. I assume Pi is Python. Yeah. Python is paid slightly less than Haskell, but more than TypeScript, C# and C and JavaScript and Visual Basic and Java and HTML, CSS. I'm an HTML, CSS engineer. I get paid $61,000 a year. I get paid $61,000 a year to do HTML, CSS. That's all I do. I just go there and I just program. I don't see Ruby on the list. Apparently, Ruby programmers don't get paid. Yep, hate to tell you. Wait, RB? Was there RB? Did I miss the RB? Oh, yeah, RB is up here. I knew that. Ruby, the fifth most paid job. Ruby, fifth most. Let's go, Ruby. Let's go, Ruby. Nim, you get paid more. Erlang, you get paid more. Apex, you get paid more. Elixir, you get paid less.
The other thing about Ruby, too, is one of my favorite GitHub accounts, Endo Yusuke. Otherwise known as MAME on GitHub. He's won the IOCCC multiple times, and he's also a master of Ruby. He wrote a fantastic book on transcendental programming. In other words, he's a master of quines. He's got a number of really good ones, and in fact, he had this one that blew up years ago called a quine relay that's constructed out of like 128 languages. And if you don't know what a quine is, it's a program that is designed to print its own output, and that's all it does. And using this idea, you can make a program output itself in another language, and he is able to write a program that does this, that cycles through each one of these programming languages that you see right here. Absolutely fucking phenomenal. But one thing to note is that apparently it's rather easy to write quines in Ruby, and it's also pretty easy to use Ruby in a way that allows you to do really complex quines. Because one of the fun aspects of working on quines, while they themselves are actually rather useless, they are a great practice point for mastering syntax and semantics and actually building fun, interesting art projects. And so you can't necessarily say it's entirely useless, right? Like, as much as a lot of developers and programmers might want to say that, I don't think it's necessarily true.
It less owned, over, it's so over. Visual Basic, you get paid less. Visual Basic.net, you get paid less. Crystal, you get paid a lot less. Perl, you get paid a lot less. Julia, you get paid less. Delphi less. Fortran less. Cobol less. Solidity less. Not shocking on that one. Groovy, much less. Wow, ouch, Groovy. Scala, getting wrecked. MATLAB, destroyed. Lua, wrecked. Ruby, 10% down. It's so over, not stonks. HTML, 15% down, definitely not stonks. Wow, they're all down. Every language is down. Every last language is down, except for Nim and Erlang and Apex. Inflation going higher, pay's going down, make it make sense. Come on, go ahead. Make it make sense. I dare you, economist. Economists, if our money's worth less and you have to pay more, then why am I not getting paid more? Connecting salaries to a language makes little sense. Well, the problem is that I don't see COBOL on here, and like the average COBOL salary is just insane, and the median salary of COBOL is insane. Holy cow! Oh, bad year to be an Ada user or a Zig user. Ooh, the Zig users are getting wrecked. Oh, Zig. What about Rust? Is Rust in here? Yeah, Rust got dominated too. Wow, Rust got really dominated. Rust, you're sitting at that damn near 15% there. COBOL was in there, it's pretty low. Oh yeah, COBOL's right here. I don't know if I believe this. My guess is that the people reporting that they work in COBOL aren't on this website very much. I think the biggest takeaway right now that I'm saying is that salaries are just dominated. It's shocking how much salaries are down universally. Pretty much nothing you worked in do you make more money. And the big sadness is that Prologue got wrecked, and so did Ada. And Zig, man, Zig, my baby Zig. I think that's because there's a third project now that just became a Zig, right? You have Ghosty, Bun, and Tiger Beetle. So those are three pretty big projects in Zig. So my guess is that's what's happening is more people are working. Therefore, the salary should probably go down, generally speaking. Prime is going to react to the latest Dave's Garage video? No, I don't need to see more on.
All right, so that's the developer survey. In other words, I'm kind of operating where I need to be in terms of all that. React wasn't even mentioned at all. Thank fucking God. But I think the people who are doing TypeScript are doing React probably in large part. Maybe a handful of them are doing Angular. I don't know if Angular is TypeScript or not, but I'm going to take a little bit of a break here, put on some music for you guys. Bug Squasher's not a great track. I'm going to delete that from the playlist. We're going to shuffle, and we're going to hit a random. This is a good one. Let's see. Uh-oh. Drop frames. And we're back. Okay. I found the video I was looking for. I was talking about Mutahar earlier. The way that he speaks about video games here concerns me because he has a big audience, right? 3.78 million subscribers. We just spent, a little bit over an hour watching a tech YouTuber react to, some pretty technical content. He also does a little bit of game dev and stuff like that. Mutahar, as far as I know, doesn't do game dev. He doesn't write his own software. He knows how to apply software. He knows how to do jailbreaks. He knows how to unlock systems. He knows how to upscale video games and shit like that. He knows how to use emulators. He knows how to use Linux. I don't know that he does his own scripting. I don't know that he's a programmer. But the way that he talks about video games here is concerning. Preface, I've seen a little bit of the intro of this video. I didn't watch the whole thing. But he talks about it in a way that suggests that video games have to be only made one certain way and that only certain classes of games actually qualify as games. He doesn't make this very explicit. He's really talking about, in the context of this video, he's really talking about the AAA game industry, which is essentially corporatized, capitalistic game development. Game development where developers are paid salaries every year, where artists, designers, voice actors, musicians, etc., involved in a big production, much in the same way that Hollywood and the TV and film industry operate. I just want it to be really clear going forward that a video game is not limited to just big productions. A video game is not limited to just any one person's definition. Okay? As someone who probably a lot of people look up to as an authority figure, I'm pretty sure he's much younger than myself. I think the way that he speaks about games should be very careful, should be very precise, specific, intentional. And he's just upset that certain games are going to be coming out later as a result of frustrations in the industry, related to AI protections and stuff like that, which is a fair frustration, but there's a lot of just, nuance that has to be navigated in this space. So with that context in mind, let's go ahead and jump in.
Gals, me Mutahar, how y'all doing today? We gotta talk about a video game strike, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you've been following the SAG-AFTRA video game strike, basically effective July 26th at 12:01 a.m., I believe.
I have not been following this, so please update me.
Pacific Standard Time, then you might understand, whoa, Muta, is our video game industry gonna be more delayed than ever? Now,
so, our video game industry? That's just painting such a broad picture. It's like, yo, calm the fuck down. Just like with Primeagen, you overreacting for content again. we want to be very precise with what we talk about. We want to be very pinpoint accurate with what exactly is happening. I don't even know anything about this SAG-AFTRA. What the fuck? So he hasn't explained anything in the video, just going in, making the assumption that you've already kept up with whatever the fuck is actually happening, and I haven't. So game in development prior to September 23 exempt from SAG-AFTRA strike. Video game actors are on strike. Here's what that means. Enough is enough. Hollywood video game actors go on strike. I think this is really specific to just like voice talent and like likenesses and actors in general. I don't think this is specific to video games so much as a consequence of voice actors going on strike, protesting AI, wanting protections and all that stuff.
Now, to give an idea, video games cost a lot of money to make.
False. Demonstrably false. I'm making a game for $0 right now. It's statements like that bother me. That was the first thing that really hit me when I tried watching this to begin with. It's like, let's replay that. Like, let's...
Going to be more delayed than ever. Now, to give an idea, video games cost a lot of money to make.
No, they don't. Certain types of games require a lot of money and finances and resources and stuff to make. Any single human being in 2024 can put together their own video game right now. If you're not happy with the state of the industry, fucking fix it. Stop complaining, stop bitching, stop whining, stop moaning. Learn how to program, learn how to write code. Dig in. It's a fun time. Might even be more fun than actually playing games in many cases. I'm not saying go work for a AAA company. You might have a bad time in that case.
Video games, as they are developed, take a lot of time to be produced.
This is true. No matter what context you're working on. It's not like you could just snap your fingers and a game comes out. It doesn't work like that. Maybe in the future, things can be templated in such a way as to swap out parameters on a large scale and then just be able to just have a function that just shits out a video game, and maybe that's something that's totally doable. I don't think we're very far away from that. But in general, even getting to that point takes a lot of time, right? So you have to appreciate the amount of technological investment that not only goes into the game itself, but the tooling that is used to build the game. That took time before the game even came out, right? So a lot of people don't consider these things when they're considering development time.
Okay, now Grand Theft Auto 6 is a game that I am obviously, like many people, excited for. And Grand Theft Auto 6 has not come out.
I honestly don't really care about Grand Theft Auto 6. Like, I had a good time with 5. But even then, on my old YouTube channel, I had a video where I caught several bugs in the middle of playing the game. In fact, I've got a couple viral shorts from the re-release of San Andreas, where I'm able to glitch the train through certain barricades and access parts of the game that you're not supposed to access yet, like go to the other islands and shit. And a lot of that to me is indicative of broken development processes where too much emphasis has been put on certain aspects and not enough emphasis put on certain other aspects. And as a result, these bugs appear and they kind of make the game look goofy and feel like a game as opposed to a real immersive experience, which is what they're really trying to do.
About a year or two after Grand Theft Auto 5. No, it has come out basically a decade after.
So, QQ, quit crying, because what do you think us older folk had to deal with when Doom 3 was in development for 10 years? Motherfucker. We had to wait just like you did. And that wasn't even a voice actor screen issue problem or whatever. That wasn't even like a problem of creating something on the scale of Grand Theft Auto. It was a completely different set of priorities with that project. And it was a quality product as a result. Anything worth waiting for will be good. You don't have to rush greatness. You can't rush greatness. You're like, I just want to play the game. I just want to play it. Ah, it's so... But really, it's like... Just like John Carmack said, it's ready when it's ready. You don't want to ship something with bugs. You don't want to ship something early. You don't want to ship something incomplete.
Yes, there are entire presidential cycles, world events, that are now happening between a release of a mainline, mainstream video game title.
This should not be surprising, and again, this is not new. 2004. When did Doom 3 come out? August 3rd, 2004. Fucking on the nose. You know why I remember that? Because I built my first computer to play Doom 3. I was in college, a freshman computer science student, and I built my first computer specifically to play Doom 3, and I couldn't even play it on anything past low res because I had a shitty graphics card, and I was lucky to play it at all. So, this entitled, rich, spoiled kid asshole crying about his game, my game's not coming out fast enough. Dude, shut the fuck up. Seriously.
Okay? Now, obviously, it takes a lot of time because developing a video game involves a serious amount of resources, technical chops, and some advancements that are industry-shattering, at least in GTA's case, where it...
What advancements in GTA are industry-shattering? Doom 3, and again, a great example. This was an actually industry-shattering event. You know why? We had this thing called the Carmack reverse. Not the reverse patent. Doom 3 Carmack inverse square root. Yeah, fast inverse square root. This was initially implemented in Quake 3 Arena. They made use of it in the Shadow engine in Doom 3. This is the code for that function, and it's absolutely insane from a C developer or any developer perspective for that. But like this shit right here, like whoa, this shit right here, whoa. I mean, this one's not as hard to interpret, but it's like, what the fuck is this? They explain how it works in very great detail, but it's absolutely phenomenal what they were able to do with this simple math trick, right? Point being, have some goddamn respect for the past.
It does take a lot of time to come out. Now, obviously, I decided to look through SAG-AFTRA and just make sure if Grand Theft Auto 5 or 6 is not delayed any more than it probably already is supposed to be. And according to the SAG-AFTRA people, it is not, okay? That does not mean that games from Activision, like the next Call of Duty or anything else, or maybe Assassin's Creed, or really any other AAA stuff that gets thrown out with professional SAG-AFTRA actors or personnel, isn't actually, delayed or whatever, okay? Strikes cause delays. That's just the matter of the situation. The point of it is to obviously stop the entire process until demands are met for the workers, okay?
So again, a lot of these release dates and stuff are predicated off of very capitalistic enterprise involving software development. I don't necessarily think that the best games have clear release dates. I don't think that the best games have to be patched constantly in order to be brought up to speed because they released early. That said, when you're a big company and you have shareholders, yeah, you have to have some level of accountability, but something like this does throw a big wrench into the whole process.
Now, regardless of whatever your opinion are on unions, I personally think having somebody that can negotiate better deals and somebody that can negotiate better conditions is ultimately a good. If I have to wait an extra few months or maybe a year for a game to come out if the person who is working on that game isn't actually working like a fucking slave laborer, then I really don't personally mind, okay?
But a lot of these developers and big AAA companies are working their employees as essentially slave laborers. Developers don't really have any union protections. That's a completely separate topic, but it's also tangent in the fact that situations arise where a need for protection is recognized, and without that sort of organizational establishment, you have no way to argue in your benefit. It's a very one-sided conversation when the company or the entity with all of the power is able to just push and shove you around, and you don't have a ability to fight back or advocate for your own interests. You know, a lot of people just say, just get a different job. But if this is something you've been doing your entire life, you need some sort of guarantee. You need some sort of, it's like with farmers, with corn. Like, corn farmers are subsidized by the government. Maybe we should subsidize voice actors?
But what is the argument about it today, okay? Well, according to the guys over at SAG-AFTRA, this is about artificial intelligence. And I feel like we've talked, basically a lot about AI and shit, but it is, without a doubt, one of the biggest issues right now in media. So according to these guys, basically say AI protections are the sticking point. So effectively, what they've said is any game looking to employ SAG-AFTRA talent to perform covered work must sign on the new tiered budget independent interactive media agreement, the interim interactive media agreement, or the interim interactive localization agreements. And these agreements offer critical AI protections for members. So what they said was negotiations actually began all the way back in October 2022 and September 24, 2023. And while SAG-AFTRA members approved a video game strike with a 98.32% yes vote, although agreements have been reached on many issues important to their members, the employers refuse to plainly affirm in clear and enforceable language that they will protect all performers covered by this contract in their AI language. So right over here, what they've said is, we're not going to consent to a contract that allows companies to abuse AI to the detriment of our members. Enough is enough. When these companies get serious about offering an agreement our members can live and work with, we will be here ready to negotiate. Now, obviously, this doesn't really matter.
18 months of negotiations have shown us that our employees are not interested in fair, reasonable AI protections, but rather flagrant exploitation. We refuse this paradigm. We will not leave our members behind, nor will we wait for sufficient protection any longer. We look forward to collaborating with teams on our interim and independent contracts, which provide AI transparency, consent, and compensation to all performers, and to continue to negotiate in good faith with this bargaining group when they are ready to join us in the world we all deserve, said Interactive Media Agreement Negotiating Committee Chair Sarah Elmaleh.
Matter. So, obviously is going, I wouldn't say so much from paycheck to paycheck, but their salary is, pretty standard. Like, you're talking about somebody that's making $60,000, $70,000 a year or something of that nature.
But it's not like strictly, it's not like there's not downtime, right? Like, if you're a voice actor and you're working on a project, you're working on that project, but when that project's complete, when it's done, if you aren't engaged in other projects, you need to have another project lined up. So in a very real way, it's almost similar to freelance work in that if you don't have some sort of manager or negotiator who's lining these things up for you, because, at a certain point when you're established, you could probably afford that sort of thing. But like you said, I don't necessarily think you have that if you're only making $60K a year. That's the kind of thing that people start to think about when they see six figures. But I don't know. I'm not a voice actor.
I don't know so much about voice actor salaries.
Neither do I.
I'm just saying, a salary where obviously, they're living off of, right? They're not exactly driving the fancy, Bentleys or living in the big mansion or anything of that nature. This is somebody that obviously is just a working Joe. They voice act for a living and they just want to get fair compensation, which obviously is what these organizations are built for. Now, I find this a little bit weird because I do distinctly remember earlier this year coming across this mention from SAG-AFTRA where they were like, yeah, apparently SAG-AFTRA and Replica Studios introduced groundbreaking AI voice agreement, okay? So immediately I'm looking at this and I think, what? The new agreement paves the way for professional voiceover artists to safely explore new employment opportunities for their digital voice replicas with industry-leading protections. So immediately when I read this too, I think, did the voice actors even really agree to this stuff? And it seems like they might not have, okay? Because honestly, some of the people in this space were like, they don't remember voting on it. And even if you read this, like, you know, actual posts they made on their social media, they were getting straight up roasted because it really felt like back then they threw their voice actor fucking part of their guild under the bus, okay? So at the end of the day, look, I think for a lot of people who are in the creative space, they absolutely do not want any form of artificial intelligence. And just to show you how fucked this industry is right now, we are one lawsuit away from the entire industry, at least in like artificial intelligence, crashing, right? Like,
I think it would be really interesting if a voice actor were to go out there and start selling their likeness. Because there's a lot of like protection on likeness right now, but nobody ever talks about the opposite, right? Like, what if someone's out there just like giving away their stuff so that like, you know, they can train it on some LLM or some voice model or whatever, and or videos or whatever. It could be even, you know, full-scale video replication. Someone out there be selling their likeness and having some sort of say in the quality, you know, tuning process, being able to go like, okay, well, this is good and this is bad, and we need to make it more like me and less like this robot version of me. And it would be really interesting to see that kind of thing as an emergent phenomenon, right? Like, as like a competing or a competing space to the whole, you know, voice actor discussion.
Like, if you look at, this is just a taste of cases. You've got Alter versus OpenAI, okay? What started as 3 separate cases brought by 3 different author groups has been consolidated into one action against OpenAI and Microsoft, okay? What they said was they were alleging that Microsoft and OpenAI were liable for copyright infringement arising from the use of plaintiffs' works to train the AI models, right? And then, of course, you've got Anderson versus Stability AI, which are visual artists, filed this class action alleging direct and induced copyright infringement.
This is interesting. When we get into the law aspect and we actually have real cases of copyright infringement being used to train AI models, Midjourney has enormous and DeviantArt stream up. Each of the 4 defendant groups have pending motions to dismiss some First Amended complaint. Center for Investigating Reporting versus OpenAI. Center, nonprofit news organization, filed complaint against OpenAI and Microsoft alleging defendants directly and indirectly infringed plaintiffs' copyright by using works in their training sets. Concord Music Group, a handful of other ones, Thomas Reuters versus Ross, OpenAI ChatGPT litigations, New York Times versus Microsoft, Zeman and Dubas versus nvidia, LeoV versus Google, Kadri versus Meta, quite a few.
AI's ChatGPT, which basically these AI tools generate verbatim New York Times content, closely summarize it, mimic its expressive style, and falsely attribute outputs to the New York Times. So it's to a point where the AI is so good at mimicking them that sometimes misinformation gets spread that it might be the New York Times stating something when it really isn't. And if you think Microsoft is the only one immune to it, remember, NVIDIA is an artificial intelligence corporation as well. Even Nazemian and Dubas versus NVIDIA Corporation, where 2 groups of authors basically filed related class action complaints against NVIDIA, alleging that NVIDIA copied the authors' copyrighted books without their permission to train its agreements, its actual LLM, and allege that whenever an LLM generates text output in response to a user prompt, it is performing a computation with the goal of imitating the protected expression ingested from the training dataset. Now, I want to preface this all by saying that I'm a huge fan of technology, okay? I love, you know, technology. I love, you know, advancements and whatnot. Person like me should probably be like, artificial intelligence is super cool. We're able to do some really cool things with AI these days. For anybody that doesn't know, NVIDIA, speak of the devil here, created what is known as the RTX Remix, which literally allows you to play older, like, PC games, but, re-updated through the use of artificial intelligence, right? Where you can have things like path tracing renderers and AI upgraded textures. So games like Need for Speed Underground 2 actually look like they're running on modern rendering engines, all through the power of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and of course the brilliant minds over at NVIDIA. You've got a lot of mods that come out where, basically the modding community has taken famous voice actors and used artificial intelligence to effectively create, full-on single-player DLC expansions. And sure, that is obviously something that I guess it would really matter to the consent of what artist approved to how much of their AI synthetic voice should be used, right? But that's really where we're kind of sitting at. We're at a point where there are entire Grand Theft Auto fan games like Grand Theft Auto Sindako Chronicles, like a PSP full like a update, like a full DLC sized expansion that uses artificial intelligence generated voices. So we're at a point where obviously if you're in this business, a lot of the fan games are using your material. How long is it until big companies like Take-Two, like Activision, decide, yeah, we could probably save a lot of money if instead of hiring a voice actor, we just start using synthetic voices? So let's just say, for example, you're playing something.
Animal Crossing has been doing this way longer than AI's been a discussion, right? Like, they use synthetic voices. You may not be able to tell what the fuck they're even saying because they're so sped up, but I'm pretty sure those are synthetic.
Thing like Grand Theft Auto 5, right? There is no shot, in my opinion, that the main characters or the supporting cast, or really anybody that's on camera in that game, is going to be replaced with AI anytime soon. Artificial intelligence doesn't capture the expressive motions and cadences that human voices have, right? However, imagine if you're just walking through the streets of Vice City or Leonida at some point in the future, right? And if if Take-Two was using AI, I would imagine that gaming companies would probably use AI voices on like a passing by NPC. Somebody that you don't listen to, obviously. They're just there in the background. You like subconsciously pick up what they're saying. Obviously, for artificial intelligence, being of slightly lower quality, or just straight up lower quality, wouldn't really matter in that space. Now, would it? Imagine if you're a company like Activision and instead of paying for a video game worker or somebody to actually generate a 3D asset, which I don't believe SAG-AFTRA even covers in this situation. So if you're somebody working in like the creative space, making assets or 3D models, you might end up being replaced by Activision at some point. They might be able to generate gun skins for Call of Duty, where they can generate these skins, and instead of even paying an artist to create that skin, they can just shit these out at a higher volume per season. And obviously, people will buy them. Have you seen the amount of people purchasing skins in a video game online? It is insanity. One of the things that makes me wonder if this is even going to like play in the favor of these union strikers, because at the end of the day, right, like this is just one test footage that you can see from Ubisoft where they're actually showing one of their new chat AI based NPCs. So in this test room, they've got an NPC where you can interact with them, and I'm sure this is using some chatgpt like backend. So as of right now, it would probably work for like an MMO or an internet-connected video game, but I have no doubt that, a company like Ubisoft might try to find a way to get this running in a local model on a PlayStation or an Xbox or locally on your PC, just so you could expand the intricacies and detail of AI NPCs just in a game like Assassin's Creed. Like imagine walking into any town in the game and just talking to any NPC and using it to gain insight or an understanding of what's going on in that city, where your target could be, so on and so forth. I think this could be interesting from a gameplay perspective, but obviously it's going to require the use of artificial intelligence and potentially synthetic voices. So this one innovative gameplay advancement that companies want to kind of push in might probably never make it to the light of day if these kind of unions pass. And look, at the end of the day, look, if whatever your field is against artificial intelligence and whatnot, this is something that these companies ultimately want to bring in. So I don't know, with all of the millions of dollars already spent, are these companies going to dig their heels in the ground and produce these video games, or are they actually going to stifle this and basically keep the entire world open for voiceover artists, right? It's a very touchy situation to be getting into. But yeah, this is just one of the innovations that I'm sure with the amount of money put into it, there's no doubt in my mind that a company like Ubisoft would want to bring this at some point down the road.
It is a tricky problem because on one hand, I am very pro artificial intelligence and very pro the idea of a game developer using artificial intelligence in order to speed up the game's development or to increase the amount of content available in the game. But at the same time, existing voice artists do need protections, not just in the video game space, but also in Hollywood and beyond.
I have no doubt that companies like Rockstar Game or Take-Two or
Radio as well. Radio seems like a really obvious use case for why aren't, I mean, there should be a lot more AI conversations between AI right now, right?
or, you know, Activision, for instance, don't want to bring any of these features to video games coming forward, okay? Imagine something like the Nemesis system, with its permutations assisted with generative artificial intelligence, if Warner Brothers ever wanted to get off their ass and provide that feature for another video game and whatnot, considering I believe they're still sitting on the patent. But yeah, this is some interesting stuff, and obviously this is all going to be affected by this video game strike. It's not just delays, it's actual technological innovations, regardless of how you feel in the space.
So yeah, this is just one of the few situations that I've sort of seen come out of this video game strike where, yeah, it exists. Obviously, there are better conditions being sought after, but I think we're at a very pivotal moment where if you're in this industry, you're very much scared of how long of a time you have before some of the biggest players in the game are actually using synthetic voices. Now, do I think legally this is going to stick? Those lawsuits that I showed you, if just one of those goes the wrong way for these AI companies, I really feel that there is a domino effect where it can just blanket the entire industry into actually going into the fucking dark ages. And yeah, it is what it is, man. Like, if you...
I don't think that's true at all. I think if anything, we are on the apex of a renaissance. Certain parts of the game industry, such as the one that Mutahar is concerned about, might be affected. But I don't think that's going to be as big a problem as people think it's going to be. There might be a lot of people who are upset, certainly. There might be people who are frustrated at first. There might be a lot of people who stop playing video games as a result. But there's also going to be a lot more. Either way, whichever way this goes, I do not think that the industry is threatened one moment, except for the protections of certain workers. And I don't think that we have to worry about getting rid of voice actors entirely, but there is a balance. You know, this goes back to the art elect war, the war between Terrans, art elects, and technologists. There's three sides to the discussion: the pro voice actors, the pro AI voice, and the in between. I find myself in the in between department, in that, just like in the art elect war, the humans, the Terrans, the Earth dwellers, the anti-technologists, want nothing to do with either the cyborgs or the technologists. Meanwhile, the humans that have come into harmony with the technologies, I think, are going to have the best time. They're going to be the least angry. They're going to have the most purpose. They're going to experience the least fight.
If you're in this space and you are somebody that, you know, your voice is out there, you want to actually be working in this business, there's a good chance that these companies are going to fight you tooth and nail to save a dime, all right? Maybe the only option is AI exists, but you're paid like a per word fee or something if your voice is proven to be used. I don't even know how that's going to be enforced. But what I do know is this is a strike that's going to last a fair bit. And I'm interested to see if, like, hey, the actual performers win, or if it's going to be one of those situations where the AAA gaming industry is so fucking large and also so bloated that they're going to fight tooth and nail to reduce those budgets, to reduce the cost of developing these games, even at the expense of the paychecks of some of the people that honestly aren't even living large. They're just in this business and basically skating by. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe.
Not bad. Although I'm going to turn off notifications. I'm also going to take a break for lunch, so hang in there. We're going to do some game development later. Thanks for chilling. 2 React videos. It's not bad. We'll trim this up so that we don't have the helping grandma stuff later. Peace, everyone.